What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the True Mets Talk podcast. It is Saturday, December 2nd. I am recording this 2 days ahead of the winter meetings. Today, we're going to be talking about the relief market for this MLB offseason in relation to the New York Mets. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, bottom right-hand corner as you're watching this. Hover over my icon and subscribe to the channel for more content and comment your thoughts and opinions about who you want to see the Mets target for this bullpen in this offseason. Make sure you go ahead and follow me on X, Instagram, all that good stuff. At CPNY Sports is my handle, the same as my YouTube handle. Without further ado, let's talk about some Mets baseball.
The shallow right field, stumbling start for Stewart. It comes up, it's crossed to deep left field by Alvarez, and that's going to win 4 straight games for the second time in his he's home.
All right, so before we get into any sort of free agent targets for the New York Mets and how they're going to fill in this bullpen, we have to talk about where this bullpen currently stands as is if the season were to begin today. Obviously, Edwin Diaz is back. The Mets dearly missed him in 2023, suffered that knee injury in the World Baseball Classic ahead of the 2023 season, was one of the most important Mets in 2022 in that 101 win season. Got the contract, suffered the injury. I know that the Mets were potentially looking at him appearing in the latter part of 2023, had a speedy recovery, looked good, but I'm happy they pulled the plug on that. Get him ready this offseason, get him ready for spring training. He's going to be much needed in 2024. Like I said, this really video is about who the Mets are going to plug in before Edwin Diaz. And I think that Brooks Raley is not the eighth inning man. I think that's going to come in free agency. Brooks Raley is more of a seventh inning man. I think he had a decent season in 2023, obviously coming over via trade from the Tampa Bay Rays. I wouldn't discount a trade in the bullpen market this offseason. I think that the Mets could be very active in the trade market. I'm not going to be talking about trade market bullpen arms. You talk about a guy like David Bednar from the Pirates or Devin Williams from the Brewers. Like I said, the Mets are usually quiet on trade fronts until it actually happens. The Brooks Raley trade a season ago did really come out of the blue. Like I didn't hear any reports about the Mets being interested in Brooks Raley, so that really did come out of the blue. Keep an eye out on that. Similar situation this offseason for the New York Mets. And like I said, with the way the MLB is sort of rolling with the starting pitching situation, we saw it in 2023 with the Mets. These starting pitchers are not going 7, 8 innings anymore. They're going 5, maybe 6 innings on a good day. So you need a competent front end of the bullpen. I'm talking about a 5th inning guy in case the starter is not able to go that long. Or in particular, a 6th inning guy as well, right before you get to a guy like Brooks Raley. Drew Smith has struggled. Obviously, the Mets decided to tender his contract. Has good stuff, but the location's off. Sean Reed Foley, Josh Walker on 2-way contracts. I really, although I'm not saying I don't trust those guys, I would not prefer to see those guys in the early goings of the bullpen in 2024. I saw what I needed to see out of them in 2023. I wasn't that impressed. I don't think anybody was impressed. And I think that the Mets really do need to cycle in some new early bullpen guys for those early innings. So Austin Adams is a guy that just came over. They just signed him to a 2-way deal, a split contract, non-guaranteed major league deal. He will be on the 40-man roster. We will have to see what he has to offer in spring training. A guy that posted a pretty ugly ERA last season in 2023 for the Arizona Diamondbacks, coming off of a fractured ankle as well. But I was doing a deeper dive into his baseball savant numbers. He had his best season in 2021, heavy usage on his slider around 90%. And with presumably Adam Ottavino not coming back to this team and declining his player option with the Mets, Austin Adams has the capability to replicate Adam Ottavino's production. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I know his ERA is what it is. It's not pretty. The injury situation is what it is. That's why the Diamondbacks probably, along with his performance, let him go. But in his best season in 2021, his advanced metrics were great. The movement on his slider is phenomenal. His whiff rate is exponential. All I'm saying is that the Mets might have found an early bullpen gem in Austin Adams if Jeremy Hefner can get him back to his 2021 self. I believe he was with the Padres at the time. Like I said, I'm not going to rave about this signing. I just did some deep digging and I like what I see. His walk rate needs to go. His walk rate needs to be better. It's very bad right now. His slider, with that movement, has a potential to be hard to locate. I think we see that in those metrics. So that's something to keep an eye out on with Austin Adams. But a good depth signing and has a lot of upside to potentially be a very productive piece in this Mets bullpen moving forward. So keep an eye out on Austin Adams. Now, the offseason relief pitcher targets for the Mets. There's a lot of names on this list, and I won't go over every single one of them because it's sort of self explanatory at this point, but I will do my best to tell you all who I prefer in this bullpen and who I prefer for the Mets to go after. Josh Hader, I really think is unrealistic. Um, Imagine what that eighth, ninth inning setup would be with Josh Hader and Edwin Diaz, but like I said, the money he's going to command, presumably the role he's going to want to be in as a closer. Edwin Diaz is the closer for the New York Mets. He also has Josh Hader, that is a qualifying offer attached to him, which he declined from the Padres. But whoever team signs Josh Hader this offseason is going to have to give up draft pick compensation just because that qualifying offer is attached. Not the likeliest of targets for the Mets. A potential reunion with David Robertson is a lot more likely. A guy that performed really well in the first half of last season with the Mets, struggled when he went over in that trade with the Miami Marlins. I don't know if I'm comfortable putting David Robertson back as an eighth inning setup guy. I know he's on the last legs of his career. He's getting up there in age, but a potential reunion is definitely something that I'm interested in with David Robertson. Hector Neris might be my favorite name on this list, to be honest with you. Ex Philly, had an okay stint there, really rejuvenated his career in Houston, dominated the last couple seasons there. Was an integral role in their bullpen in that 2022 World Series with the Houston Astros. Um, I think all of these guys, with the exception of Josh Hader, Hector Neris, and Ryan Stanek, are going to be in the market for short-term deals, probably even a one-year deal. Like I said, Josh Hader's definitely going to get a longer-term deal. Hector Neris has the potential to get a longer-term deal, maybe a 2 to 3 year deal with an opt-out in between. But I do really like Hector Neris. Aaron Loop, familiar face, had a historic season, a historic 2021 season with the Mets. Obviously, he went to free agency and signed with the Angels, had an okay 2022, a bad 2023, and the Angels decided to decline their team option on Aaron Loop. So if you want to add another lefty to the pen, along with Brooks Raley, a lefty specialist like Aaron Loop, you can definitely take a flyer on and hope that he matches his production, maybe even a fraction of what he was in 2021. Keep an eye out on his market as well. Jordan Hicks, flamethrower, had a pretty decent season in 2023 as well. Would be interested to see what his market's like. Believe he got traded from the Cardinals to the Blue Jays there through 2023. His walk rate's pretty bad as well, but he is a very I want to say his ground ball percentage on his pitches with the amount of run he gets on his fastball is absolutely insane. Definitely interested in Jordan Hicks, especially with that velo, but he does have walk issues himself, so it would be another project for Jeremy Hefner to try to get under control in terms of getting that movement located precisely with Jordan Hicks's pitches. Adam Ottavino, I want no parts of Adam Ottavino. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not sure why he declined his player option. He's not going to get anything more than what the Mets were slated to pay him. Obviously, it was his decision to decline the option, testing the free agent open market. I don't want any parts of Adam Ottavino. I realized the ERA was decent in 2023, but sometimes he has a really hard time locating his slider. A lot of walks for him. Like I said, his slider's lethal, but in high leverage situations, especially with the inability to hold a runner on, I wouldn't be comfortable with an eighth inning role for him. Potentially a good sixth inning guy, has the potential to be dominant, but I think there are better options out there for the New York Mets outside of Adam Ottavino. So Robert Stevenson is a low key sort of name that I would potentially take a flyer on for a sixth inning type role. Had a decent season in 2023. He was a Pittsburgh Pirate in the first half, got traded to the Rays in the second half, had a respectable ERA. Robert Stevenson's market should be pretty competitive as well. I want to say for the early bullpen goings, a name that I would definitely keep an eye out on. Daniel Hudson, veteran, another 1 year type deal for Daniel Hudson wouldn't be bad. I just don't know where he would fit in this bullpen. So I'm not big on Daniel Hudson, but Ryan Stanek is another guy who was an integral part of the Houston Astros bullpen last few seasons. He's a hard thrower as well. I would definitely take a flyer on Ryan Stanek. I think that he fits this bullpen a lot more. So a decision, if I had to pick between Ryan Stanek and Hector Neris, I'm probably still picking Hector Neris. But if you strike out on Neris, Ryan Stanek is definitely a great pivot point there. And Yariel Rodriguez, probably one of the younger guys on this list. This list is full of veterans, which is also advantageous for the Mets to add in terms of experience to the bullpen. But Yariel Rodriguez, obviously pitching in the Japanese Central League, has great numbers over there. Don't know what you're going to get out of him, obviously, at the MLB level. He's 26 years old. I don't know what type of contract he's going to want. It still remains to be seen whether he's going to be a starter at the MLB level or if they're going to transition to him. Whatever team signs him is going to transition to him to the bullpen. But his numbers in that Japanese Central League are great. So a potential low-key kind of signing for the Mets. Not many people are talking about a name like Yariel Rodriguez going to be hitting the open market. So a lot of great options for the Mets to pick from here. Like I said, don't discount the trade market for the Mets this offseason ahead of the winter meetings in a couple days. I will be providing all the latest updates on the winter meetings as it relates to the New York Mets. But I think a combination of a couple of free agent signings, maybe two more free agent signings for the Mets in the bullpen, maybe with one trade in between, definitely strengthens up this bullpen. You have a reinforcement like Austin Adams that they signed early this offseason to a split contract. It's a throw it on the wall kind of deal for Austin Adams. Has high upside if he gets his stuff under his control with that slider, like I was mentioning earlier. But it's not a signing that I'm going to rave about. Like I said earlier as well, like it's a very experimental type signing with the high upside to be a good sixth inning guy. So there's a lot of ways David Stearns can play this bullpen market. Let's keep an eye out on how they're going to address that. But like I said, guys, going back to this graphic, this bullpen right now as it stands is unacceptable. The Mets have a lot of work to do. A lot of people are talking about the starting pitching market, obviously with a phenom like Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the market. I understand that's going to get all the hype. But as I mentioned earlier, with the way the MLB is trending, with these starting pitchers not lasting as long into the game, you have to build this bullpen, especially those early innings guys. So I understand that the Mets signed Luis Severino, another 1 year deal, probably going to be that fifth starter in the rotation if I had to slate him anywhere right now. Not an innings eater himself. Um, You'd be lucky to get 120 innings out of him in a season. He's been below that in each of the last two seasons. Obviously, had a really down 2023, which makes the bullpen even more integral in terms of importance to prioritize this offseason. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about this free agent list. Out of these names, who would you like the Mets to target? Like I said, I'm going to be providing all the latest Mets news on my channel. I'm going to try to either go live when a Mets decision is made on a free agent signing or trade, and we're not expecting it. I'll be going live on the channel. I'll be dropping pre-recorded episodes. So make sure you're hitting that thumbs up, subscribing to the channel to not miss out on all the latest Mets news, giving my thoughts, analysis, opinions on all things Mets on this channel. Comment your thoughts and opinions about the names that we discussed today in this video. Who do you want the Mets to prioritize for this bullpen in 2024? And as always, make sure you tap in with me on X and Instagram at CPNY Sports. Let's go Mets, and I'll see you all on the next video. Peace. Thank you for watching the latest episode of the CP New York Sports Pod. If you enjoyed this content, make sure you hit that thumbs up, comment your thoughts and opinions, and use the lower right-hand button of this video to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.